I need to introduce our today's platform sponsor, Nico Vini from Alberta Brick. So thank you for agreeing to sponsor this event, for bringing Lisa down. Nico and Mark and Smith are here from Alberta, and I was welcome Makana Brick, Colin and Hendrik. Makana is one of our platinum, gold, silver.
They currently are platinum,
Right.
but we are very, very close to moving to a titanium.
Right, titanium, so that's the next.
It's better.
So welcome to our titanium, or soon to be titanium sponsors. So we haven't had so many brick suppliers and manufacturers in this room for a long time, so welcome to all of you. So I'm going to hand over to Nico. Nico will introduce Lisa, and we look forward to seeing your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome to all of Alberta Brick. It's really nice to see a full house here. As Neil said, I'm from Alberta Brick. I'm the managing director there, and just a deal with Mark. I think it's also in order to thank the Clay Bricks Association because they assisted us in getting Lisa here. So looking forward to what Lisa's got to say. Lisa, just quickly, she's going to talk after Mark, but Lisa is currently the president of SAEC, Southern African Energy Efficient Confederation. That's it, one word. And Lisa's been with Sangobain for a long time, and I know from them through the CBA. I also head up the technical committee at the CBA. But I think it's also in order today, Neil, just to say congratulations. I think in our midst here we've got a new CBA president as well, and Colin has just been elected as a new CBA president, which is quite an honour for the Eastern Cape to have the president here. And I think we've got three presidents today in the house: yourself, Colin, and Gillian. So it's quite a meeting. So without wasting any more time, Mark, you want to talk to us about our products?
Thank you. I was concerned about when the set was started, now we've got two presidents. How long will it take?
So we can capture the room. We'll be all right.
There's nothing, I'll just...
So what are we kitchen?
Yeah, we can be I'll push it back.
Thank you. Afternoon. As Nico told you, I'm Mark Smith, Sales Director at Alberta Brick. I'm not going to take too much time. Lisa's really the keynote speaker, so I should be more than an hour and a half. So just basically, I just want to tell you about Alberta Brick. I just want to not really tell you something new, but maybe just remind you about the 90mm formats, which don't seem to go into much of the high-end design specification work. We're very successful in the townhouse market and housing market, where the person making the decision is the person paying, and they see the savings. And then just lastly, eco-installation. So Alberta Brick was founded in 1945 at Kucha. We're the largest manufacturer of clay plaster bricks in the Eastern Cape, producing 54 million bricks a year through 2 oil-fired tunnel kilns. We initially were at Kucha until CDC got involved, the Port of Nucha. We then became part of the industrial zone, and they needed to own the land. So ourselves, Stellenbosch Salt, and the old Cook Hotel were basically the anchor tenants in the early days. And after protracted negotiations, they bought out the land and allowed us to continue trading till 2011 at the Cook facility. But we realized that the time was limited, so we managed to secure the Corrigan factory in 2002 at Swartkops, which was mothballed. So we moved our operation now entirely down to Swartkops. And then, as I said, we do manufacture some unique products, which include the Econo 90, the Maxi 90, and the Super Maxi 90. That's an aerial shot of the factory. We're right on the river. That's the M17 up to Motherwell, with Waste Tech and Eat Brick on the right-hand side. Just some photos inside the factory. The extruder, basically the big sausage machine that pushes the column of clay out, that shapes the bricks. Goes through a cutter, and then into the kiln. That's the top of the kiln. That's where we fire the oil through the roof of the kiln. So the cars are packed, the bricks are packed onto cars that move on a rower line, and they will go in at the far end of that kiln, and basically every hour one car gets pushed, and as it moves into the kiln, it pushes the last car out of the kiln. So the whole process is around 7 days. 3 days drying, 3 or 4 days firing. That's the finished product getting taken off the cars and going out to the sorting belt where they're taken onto pallets. And then final product ready for delivery in the yard. We're very proud to be the accredited distributor of Meccano brick in the Nelson Hill Bay region. So there's a close alliance between ourselves and Meccano and PE. Previous history, there was common ownership. That split in 2012, and the factories became independent of each other, but we do still handle all the logistics, all the sites, contacts, we keep stock in our yard, etc. We do all that for Meccano. So we work closely with them. I spend quite a bit of time with the architectural record Rico when he's in town visiting you guys. He's pushing for the specification, we're obviously pushing to get the order. And we're able to offer a full range of FBA and FPS products at affordable prices. Obviously, being local, we have a huge transport advantage over our competitors who are bringing bricks in from Gauteng and the Western Cape, as they have no physical production facility in the Eastern Cape. And some of the landmark buildings that we've supplied to include the Second Avenue Business School, Sunshine School in Newton, Jubilee School also in Newton. And then we've been very involved with 3 social housing projects that started off in Fairview, Warnerling, Fairview, and Willardine. And I'm proud to say now we're also involved with the Milkwood one in Warmer, where Julian is involved as well. That's a photo of the factory in Grahamstown, so similar technology to what we do, just a little bit more modern. And they use a robot to pack. Not manually packing. Then just with regards to the 90mm cost saving formats, if you look at your national building regs, 90mm is your minimum allowable wall thickness. It seems entrenched that we stay with the 106, which is the old 9 by 4.5 and a 9 inch 4.5 inches, where it sort of came, it's the old imperial size that's being metrified. But the proper metric size would be modules of 90, so that you end up with a joint at 100 modules. It's very difficult to work with 90, that 100mm module in the length, because the bricks become quite long and you also start to lose your half part. So they tried it years back with the House of Delegates, for instance in Durban, where all the Indian schools, they used to have the House of Representatives and the House of Delegates, they used to have what they called an M290, which is a 290 long brick, 90mm wide, 90mm high. But you had a 1/3 starter, you had a 2/3 closure, so the poor bricklayer came from the site where he'd been drummed into him half one, and all of a sudden you had to start using third bonds. So it was very, very difficult. So what we've done is to try and keep it simple, is we've just closed up the width. So we've kept the length the same and the height the same. So if you look at the brick, it looks exactly the same as a normal brick, like that. It's just 90mm wide. The advantages is it has the same crushing strength. There's very, very little difference in your thermal insulation properties, your sound insulation properties, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very similar. You're not losing much there. But there's obviously quite big savings. So that has the standard length, same height, but 90mm wide. You can supplement it whenever there's a standard stock brick being used. All you do is, if you keep your cavity the same, you're scoring slightly bigger room areas. And if you work it back, I think it worked out to something like a square meter for every 40 square meters of room. So when you get to smaller spaces, it starts to add up. The crushing strength is in excess of 14 MPa, and there are savings in the region of 10% by using that on the material. We go to the next format, which is the Maxi 90, which is the 114mm high. So we're going slightly higher, same length, 90 wide, to slightly higher. It can obviously be used as a double screen plaster and paint application, or you can substitute it for a standard stock brick where you're using face brick. And what happens then is that you tie in 3 to 2. So you have 3 courses of face, 2 courses of maxi, and you get your wire ties, brick force, all becomes level again, door heights, etc. It's all being designed around that. This offers a 3-way saving, in that if you work it back to a square meter rate of material alone, there's a big advantage, big savings compared to a standard size brick. You have a big saving on your mortar, because there's a third fewer joints, you're saving a third of the mortar, plus you're picking up the extra 16 mils over the entire wall, because it's narrower. So from sand and cement point of view, with your mortar, big savings. And then there's a big saving on labor because of the productivity. It weighs 3.3 kilos. It's a solid standard stock brick weighs in the region of 3.2, 3.3 kilos. Very similar. So your bricklayer in effect should be able to lay the same number of bricks a day, but he'll get a third extra wall in. So in the townhouse market, as I said, and the housing market, we've had great success with this. The developers have seen the advantages of it, have seen the big savings. And in the early days, I think my best marketing tool was the subcontractors. They would come to a job and get forced to use this for the first time. They would see the advantage. They were still getting the same square meter rate, so their rate didn't change for a house. What changed for them was that instead of getting to wall plate in 3 days, they were doing it in 2 days. So he was getting his money quicker and able to move on to the next house. So when he went to work with the next developer, he told that developer he wants to work with this product. And that's how it really spread. We had great success like that. And then lastly, something we introduced lately, because some of the guys don't like to work with 2 different gauges, the face brick gauge and the maxi gauge. We brought in what we call the super maxi, which is basically your double brick. So that works 2 to 1. So you can, all you do is you lift your string 2 courses for this and 1 course for the face brick, and it comes up basically level. And if you are out a half a course or beam full, you pop your Econo 90 on top and it brings it back to the same height as the face brick that you're missing. Once again, you've got your 3-way saving, your material, your mortar even more so, because it's half the number of joints now, and then the productivity. And then just lastly, just to let you know about eco insulation, Algarve Brick is the accredited installer of eco insulation, which is a pumpkin ceiling type insulation, which competes with her old product like Aerolite, etc. So I'm going to be very careful what I say. You can go to the next one. So I'm just going to tell you briefly about eco, what it is, the benefits, how the new national building regulations work, and then if there are any questions. Okay, eco insulation is the only South African product. There are similar systems that have been used overseas, but this was developed in South Africa probably 20 odd years ago, and has been successfully installed for well over 10 years. It won the Excellence Award in 2008 at the SA Energy Efficiency Convention. What is it? It's clean waste paper. They collect all the overrun from manufactured in Cape Town, so all the overrun from the newspapers there. They're clean newspaper, stuff they haven't sold. It gets pulverized through a hammer mill. It's treated with a fire retardant, so it conforms to all the necessary BS B1 for ceiling insulation. And they do add a rodent repellent, which doesn't mean that if you've got a rat problem, you put this in your ceiling and like the pipe piper, the rats will run away. What it does mean, if there are rodents that come into the roof space, they won't use it as a nesting material, because it looks quite nice. If you show people, they say, oh, my hamster would love that. But it irritates their fur and their skin, so they don't stick around and use it as a nesting material. What are the benefits of eco? It has the highest R value for the same thickness in its class. It's the ease of installation. Because it's a blow-in application, you can get into those hard-to-reach places in the corner of the ceiling space. You're not having to try and roll blanket out. You're not having to try and get it underneath alarm wires and plumbing pipes, etc. Because it's blown in, it settles through all of that and it seals itself on top of the ceiling space. It's non-toxic, it's not irritant, and it's not allergenic. 100% environmental friendly, as I said, it's unattractive to rodents, and there's no fiberglass, and there's no asbestos in the product. Alright, we look at the new SANS regulations, as I'm sure you've deal with every day and are pretty aware of. The country has been divided into the climatic zones, with the Eastern Cape falling into Zone 4, which requires a R value of 3.7 in the seeding space. Zone 2 is London, slightly lower, 3.2. And then the method we use to calculate the roof assembly, they basically just want the R value to exceed 3.7 to be able to not pass, but to comply. I was told you don't pass, you comply. And that is made up of all the components that make up your seeding space. So you have your, whatever you're outside, maybe concrete, steel, etc. You have an outdoor air film, the tile underlay itself, the roof air space, your plasterboard, an indoor air film. But if you have a look, you can see they're very, very low numbers. 0.02 for a concrete tile, for instance. Your standard underlay, 0.02. You can bump that up with a double-sided rain shield, which would give you an R value of about 1.1. But then you've got to weigh up the cost of rain shield versus pumping insulation. You know, what's going to work out more economically if that's what you're after. So as you can see on a standard roof structure, with a normal, just dustproof underlay, not a rain shield type, you have to make up the majority of it, the vast majority of it, with the eco insulation or a type of insulation. It's needing 3.55R to pass the 3.7. So they've opted for 135 mil for our area, and if you go rain shield, you can drop it to 100 mils. Again. And that's just a bit of a fuzzy photo on here, but that's the end of the pipe that we use to blow in. So there's a, you can go to the next one, there's a simple machine that stands outside, a blower, almost like a vacuum cleaner running the wrong way. The bags are fed into the machine, the pipe is taken through the window, through the trapdoor, so the window closest to the trapdoor. If you don't want us working through the inside of the house, we can lift tiles on the outside and work through the outside as well. So there is that option too. A 200 square meter house is done in a day. We can, a team with one machine can basically run at about 200 to 250 squares a day. That's still very good. So that's a finished product. That's a suspended ceiling. So we do suspended ceilings as well. We pump on top of suspended ceilings, and all we do is we mark areas, particularly next to downlighters and stuff, where the electrician can have access, and we put a blanket over, a pillow over the top of that. So we capsulate the material into like a pillowcase and staple it to the top of the board. So when they lift it, the material doesn't fall out. Yeah. Downlighters, always a problem. Not so much now with the new LED type downlighters, but the old 50 watts get extremely hot. So you can't cover them with insulation, no matter what type of insulation it is, because they start to overheat. And then you get that black mark around the actual downlighter itself. There is the hazard of them getting so hot that the brand ring area for the plasterboard that can start to smell and even catch a light. So we place galvanized cones over each of the downlighters, which, like a party hat, comes to a funnel, so that it allows the downlighter to breathe, but keeps the insulation up nice and tight against it as well. And that's finished in our pump. There's the suspended ceiling that's a little bit clearer. I think that's me.
So, as Nicholas said, President of the SAE, I'm an ex-hanger band a while ago, and I'm running my own company. I came to fame is persevering with writing energy efficiency standards reports. So, I also was on the board of Reynolds and Council, and I've been involved in the technical working group in helping draft Reynolds rating tools. So I'm going to give you an overview of what's happening with SANS 10.8XA and with the Green Building Council, hopefully, and what it means to your lives. Neil and I sort of agreed on some headings, so I'll put them in here. hopefully we covered everything that you want. I'm not blocking anybody, am I? Okay, cool. So again, what is the government, what are government imperatives and commitments to sustainability, and how does it impact the market? So what I'll do is I'll put a bit of it into history. So pre-2011, when the National Building Regulation was gazetted, there was no energy efficiency requirements for buildings. But in 2005, the Department of Energy put out the National Energy Efficiency Strategy, in which they said we as a country, have saved 15% of energy on buildings. So generally, each sort of type of building had different requirements, but basically came out to save 15%. And that was when we started writing SANS 204, because again, as I said, we had nothing. And we published the SANS 204. Do you know SANS 204? It's a precursor to 1000 exam. And the Green Building Council was established in 2007. As soon as we'd finished writing SANS 204, they said, no, it's not quite right, it's not quite what they want. So we started on 10400 again in 2009. And I was part of the regulatory advisory group. So we wrote the National Building Regulation XA with SANS 10400 XA at the same time. And SANS 10400 XA was published in August 2011, and it was up for public comments in September, basically promulgated in November. So I felt when we were doing this journey, well, this is how I felt, started to get into energy efficiency, because it was always one, be a moderate, your buildings are cold, put on a jersey, you know. So it was that sort of kind of arguments we always had. You don't read this, but this is the summary of regulation. So basically, these three sections, and that's the whole of the energy efficiency regulation for buildings. So if you look at, so now, how did they come up with that three-part regulation? So basically, if you look at a building, and especially residential, the biggest use of energy is hot water supply. So they said, let's sort that out first. So you have to look at renewables or energy efficiency sources, so they don't want all hot water supplied by the normal geysers. And then the other biggest driver is comfort. And sorry for those who heard this before. If you think of the use of energy in a building, why do you turn anything on? It's if you're not comfortable. If you're hot or cold, you turn something on. So what the idea behind it is, if we make the building envelope as energy efficient as possible, it stops the temperature inside the building reacting to the temperature that's outside the building. So it just sort of slows down that total reaction, and that's the sort of basis of what we did when we looked at the energy efficiency standard. So, and then obviously then we had to look at the services that were provided inside that building had to be energy efficient as well. But again, understand that the 10400XA, it was a start of a process. So it's not like the Rolls Royce. It's not the Porsche was a little yellow car. It's if you look at it, it's not the same as a cab. It's just a deep to satisfy. It's a little fit. Okay. So, and the other thing I always get asked, I just threw this slide in, is about affordable housing. So the regulation was promulgated in November 2011, but it took another 2 years for us to get the Department of Human Settlements to even be close to where we wanted them to be. Because the Department of Human Settlements use what they call their national norms and standards. It's their little red book. Probably written maybe by the NHBRC. So they just didn't comply from 2012 onwards. And the restaurants were really not talking and sort of saying, well, there has to be, if the Department of Human Settlements is not going to comply, then the Minister of Human Settlements must then write to the Minister of the DTR to say why they don't comply, and there must be an MOU between them, and they must say publicly that affordable housing is not going to be to any energy efficiency standard. We were just about to have an election, so obviously that was a no-go. There was a lot of service delivery demonstrations and things like that. So in April 2014, just before the election, we managed to get the norms and standards up for the affordable housing section. And so what it came up with is that there's ceilings in there with 130 volts glass windows, and it's better windows, and then the walls were the same except they had to be plastered. So slightly above businesses as usual from that time, and obviously adjusted the budget for it. So we still obviously encourage that, despite the fact that the government, and this only applies to government subsidised housing. So anything, the gap housing and all the other things that are partially bonded or socially housing doesn't fall under the norms and standards. Those buildings have to comply with the National Building Regulation. So these is only really applies for government subsidised housing. So the rest have to comply. And through this conversation, we always try and bring them along to the next level. So if you look, then in 2016, we signed the Paris Accord, so that's fine. And we're due to finish the new 10-400 either end of this year or first quarter next year. I'll show you the timing now. Now the next 10-400 on the radar, SANS 10-400 XP. Have you heard of it? You know what it's for? It's water efficiency. And there's a title for XC already. And you know what that is for? Demolition. So it's for demolition of buildings, building waste. Because again, there's a lot of, the bulk of our landfill is filled by construction waste. And they want to try and correct this. But again, when I say it's there, these things really take forever. I've got a high EQ working today. So he's working in days and weeks, and now working months and years. But it's cool. So the other thing that came out is that there's a new national energy efficiency strategy. It's not been signed by the ministry yet, because the ministry kept changing. And so every time we have a new minister, we have to explain again about what we're trying to do. So the new national energy efficiency strategy. But the important thing is, on public and commercial buildings, they have now said that by 20, they might change the end date because we've got a project. They want a 50% energy saving of a 2015 baseline. The others are still about 10 to 15%, but it's particularly on commercial and government buildings, they want a 50% saving. So with that, there's another standard called, it's SANS 1544, it's energy performance certificates in buildings. So I don't know if you guys deal with that, but basically it's for existing buildings, and there's another piece of legislation with the new minister to sign that they will make it mandatory for all government buildings to have energy performance certificates in their foyers. And the view is that once they've got that, all those numbers will go to feature SANEDI. I don't know if you know SANEDI, South African National Energy Development Institute. They'll keep a record, and then from that they'll benchmark all government buildings. And then there'll be a sort of an edict down saying all government buildings shall be a C rate or whatever. I'm not going to more detail showing the rating, but that will again lead to retrofit of buildings into energy efficiency. So again, where plans need to be passed, there will be obviously a role in the architectural field for redesigning these buildings into energy efficient. But again, we're probably looking 3 years' time, 4 years' time, so huge heads up here. You know, it's still coming. But again, it's good to be prepared. We're busy with drafting the water efficiency regulation. There's a standard already, it's not called 700 yet. So that's in the process, and we're looking forward to presenting it. It's not 2018, but 2019. So now, other things, if you look at, we've got a country has got a national development plan. And in the National Development Plan, it basically says that by 2030, new builds should be zero carbon buildings. So that's in our National Development Plan. And now, so linking with that and the sort of signatory to the Paris Accord, so I'm not going to go this way. Never mind, I'm always wrong, but I'll go to it. Is that we've now put out that we have to have certain carbon targets. So Nico knows well that most factories have to have greenhouse gas reporting. The carbon tax, they say it will be in the 1st of January next year. So there's a big push to look at the carbon of the country. And one of the things on the building side is to look at zero carbon buildings by 2030. The reason why we have the energy performance certificate mandatory is that if you look at how many new builds are a tiny part of the sort of energy stock of buildings. So it's not going to make as big an impact as when we look at retrofitting buildings. So that's what we have to do. This is just, so the energy performance certificates really, excuse my pointer, but it looks exactly like an appliance label. And the idea is that once they've got all the numbers, all the energy performance of those buildings in, they'll mandate they are obviously aiming for like the middle of the label. So that's exactly what it is. So if you, what I want to get to. So if you look at where you want to be in if you board you can't see, there's papers in the Department of Environmental Affairs that you can read, and it tells you what our carbon targets are heading towards 2030. And these are the reductions we have to make. And this was everything. I mean, transport's in there, but buildings are a huge part of that journey. And that is why, when we first wrote 1000XA, they said this is the starting document. So over 5 years, we have to make this document more and more stringent. So what happens as well, the DTR heads up national building regulation. So anything they do can't put a business out of, a company out of business or a market out of business. So we always had to approach this thing very, very carefully so we don't shock the building market. I know some people feel that 1000XA was still a shock to them. Sorry, but it's as it is. But I understand that as we go on, it's going to get more and more stringent because we have to get to this 2030 goal. We have to get to these carbon reduction numbers. So when we look at the proposed changes to 10400XA and what the impact it is, that's when we are busy still writing this document. We're looking at completing the draft June this month or early July. Let's go to editing, then it goes to committee draft, then probably we're aiming for September, it goes out for public comment. It goes out for 60 days public comment, 2 months. So if anybody's interested, again, let everybody go, maybe coroner when it comes out of public comment, if everybody feels like they want to make public comment on it. Then we deal with the comments probably in November, and then as long as they're not, don't change the technical aspect of the document, we're looking at publishing it either end of this year or beginning next year, but definitely by the first quarter next year, the new 1000XA. So just when you're comfortable with everything, there's a new map. Okay. So, this is the new map. We changed from climatic zones to what we call energy zones. I'll go into detail now. And this line here is it's a 65% humidity line. Because when you look at comfort, obviously humidity plays a huge role in your perceived comfort. So This area is called the H area, so we haven't changed it. So if you look, it's heating and cooling. So it says medium heating, medium cooling. But we've tried to keep the numbers similar to the ones that are in the current XA. We haven't always been able to succeed completely because obviously the zones have changed. But I'll show you, we've got a list of the typical towns inside the energy areas. This map, it's done by the CSIR and it will be available online. So for those who do a rational design and an energy software calculation, you basically could go online, put your cursor for the area that you're in, and actually just see all the, see the specific energy data that you need if you want to do a rational design or energy calculation. That's quite key. For the rest of the data satisfied, we try to make it quite simple and easier to use. So as I say, if you look, we've got a list of the towns that are typically in that area. So if you see part of zone 2 has got a humidity zone as well. And similarly, if you look, zone 5 has also got a humidity zone. Okay. And zone 7, as I said, zone 7 always freaks me out because it's there. And I had a real plan for the CSR that why we have to keep sheep warm. I just wanted to, let's just put in the zone. No, scientifically it has to be there apparently. So it's there. So we keep sheep warm. So now, if we look at why we changed the name from energy zone to climate zone, it's not really about climate. It's about, again, how much energy do you need to put into a building to make it comfortable. So we work in there's a band of comfort temperature. Average is around 22. I know that's not everybody's comfort temperature, but a normal person apparently is comfortable at 22. So it's really about what energy do we need to either cool or heat this building to get it into a comfort level. And then from that, there's terminology, I don't know, anybody does any thermal calculations based on heating degree days and cooling degree days. And it's really to see how much heating, how much cooling would you need in this building to get it into the thermal comfort area. And that's really what it is. And then obviously take humidity and condensation into account. If there's any question, just ask, okay. So I know you're with me. Cool. So let's go into the changes. One of the big changes, I trust you all really familiar with 10 XA. So if you know there's basically three routes to compliance currently in the 10 XA. It's a reference building, there's tables of maximum energy consumption and maximum energy demand for certain occupancies, and then there's the deemed to satisfy the sort of recipe route that you follow. Now for the tables, what we've done is we've separated those occupancies into sub-occupancies, and we've added more types of buildings than in the current tables. So why do we do that? So if you look at places of instruction, places of instruction include schools as well as universities and colleges, and there's one number for it. So basically, as a primary or secondary school, you could waste energy and still be compliant with 10 XA. You could have an energy party and you'll still be compliant. So what we've done is we've said, look, this doesn't fit. So let's change the occupancies, put these sub-occupancies in, because it makes better energy sense. Another example is hospitals are not currently in the current 10 XA, they will be. And again, it goes from the larger hospitals all the way to clinics, because each of them have a different energy requirement. The other thing we've changed a lot is we found that the numbers in the current 10 XA are high for maximum energy consumption. They are. So, for modeling. Now, the thing to remember with the model numbers, and it's something that is that people don't always quite get, is that the numbers are for a building, a design building, with just the minimum services and the fixed services. So these numbers, these kilowatt hours per square meter per annum, don't include any occupants or tenants' usage of energy. There's no plug loads here, there's no computers here, there's no standalone heaters. So this is the lighting, the HVAC if there is, and hot water. And obviously the building. So when we looked at it, we had put numbers in the temporary exam that included sort of usage numbers. And we found that in design, it actually allowed a lot of leeway. The people were rather going for a calculated route than an inter-satisfy route. It was actually easier to comply with. So we've changed it, and the big thing we changed was obviously hotels, because a hotel, a restaurant, and a laundry obviously had a high kilowatt hours per meter per annum usage. Because if you take all those services out of the equation, suddenly the numbers look really, really different. So we had to readjust the thinking. But when people design this, and when you build it and you live in it, these numbers will have no relevance to the real numbers. I know it sounds strange, but they don't. They are design numbers only. When you operate a building, the operation of the building is going to be much higher. Okay. And then people say, oh, they've gone down so much, but it's because of this change. So the other proposed changes is that there's no reference to SANS 204 in the new temporary exam, so you don't have to have both standards. We've tried to make it user-friendly, so hopefully you've succeeded with that. We haven't put a reference building route in it because the reference building route is actually in the regulation, so we don't have to repeat it in the standard. The tables used to be maximum energy consumption and maximum energy demand. We've taken out energy demand. It had been put in at the time, but when we wrote it, we were having hassles with Eskom supply. And energy demand was a big issue for buildings as well. But energy demand is actually not an energy efficiency problem. It's a supply of energy problem. So it's good to make your demand quite sort of not have too many peaks, but it's not an energy efficiency thing. So we've taken the energy demand out of it. So for all of you who love the window calculation tables in 10 to 100 exam, they are going out. Okay. I know you will love them. So, and it's much simpler, and I'll show you. We've got shading by latitude. We still build this is a last one in windows, right? But it's much easier applied rules than it used to be. On the performance side, the wording for some areas that doesn't really affect your area has gone from double brick to cavity, so you don't have a hassle. But the inside of the country has a huge hassle. If you deal with, there's insulation of exposed flooring. So if you think of it, we looked at it and we said, okay, we've covered the ceiling, we're now doing the walls, but if you put a sort of parking area or something under on your floor, we're not doing anything. So you've got this gorgeous, well, everything except the bottom is this gorgeous envelope, but we haven't covered it. So now it's basically an R value of 1 for the floor, so it's 40 mils of EPS. In metal roofs, okay, we haven't changed, well, we'll just rephrase, I haven't put in here. The insulation requirements, we've gone from the number, 3 numbers in the current, we've gone to basically 2. The total R value required for the sort of interior of the country is 3.7. The total R value for the humidity zone is 2.7. So there's only 2 requirements now for the country for R values. And so we haven't changed the numbers. The only thing we've done is we had a hassle for buildings with metal roofs. So when it's compressed between pin, it does say that you can put a space of 0.2, R value 0.2 there. But we said, let's just make it that we won't up the number, but let's make the effect of the insulation better. So that so for metal roofs where the insulation goes along the roof line, there's a spacing requirement so that you don't get as much compression. And there's also compression with the straining wires and things like that. So we try to minimize the compression in those things. The what we're finding as well, so the rule is 50%, a maximum of 50% of bulk volume of hot water supply to the building can be electric resistive heating. But what we're finding in real life is that even with people putting solar water heaters in or heat pumps in, they weren't necessarily putting in energy efficient solutions. So the outcome wasn't what we were trying to get. It was still not energy efficient. We found there were solar water heaters with perhaps not sufficient storage capacity for the water, and the backup element was just working all the time. You know, or people sort of not changing habits, or using all the hot water at night, so the backup element came on through the day. So what we put in now is to try and make those systems as well a bit more energy efficient. So saying, guys, and I must tell you, the funniest thing I've come across is a plan where the designer thought that at a block of flats, say 20 flats, 10 of them had normal geysers and 10 had solar geysers. And that wasn't 50% water. It doesn't work. So we've had strange things. So we sort of try to just guide people to be more energy efficient. There's lighting solutions given with lighting tables. And again, with the lighting solutions, what we've done is there's a watts per square meter allowance, but if you use CFLs or LEDs, you'll be deemed to satisfy. So we sort of also try to say, well, if you want to put those lights in, you don't have to do a calculation. We will say, yes, this complies with the standard. So as I say, when we could, we try to be more user-friendly. Okay? And as I said, the twice sharing my language, which I'll show you. So I'm sure you know this drawing. What happens now is you do a ratio P over H, and for the latitude line, you just give a typical sort of towns there. So that's the shading level of the P over H type index. So it is much simpler for everybody. So, and again, we found sort of flaws in the tables because they weren't built on latitude. So we used solar indexes and we came up with this solution. I'm happy as well if you want a copy of the presentation.
We've done it,
I don't have to stress it. Just please remember, this is a proposed 10 XA. If something changes when it's published, don't come with me. I'm pretty sure this is what's going to go in, okay? And no, it's up to a level, and it'll be so far down the line. But just don't publish it for now, but I don't mind sharing it, okay? So there's no stress about it. Just mention me. Yes. So because I see you're taking notes and whatever, I think it's fine, no stress. So now, one of the things was that I'm not a QS at all, okay? I'm actually a problem scientist from Trent, but it's only got into this thing. So what I looked at, and because I can't give numbers, I think you guys are much better at actually looking at the costs. So what I just did a quick snapshot saying, well, with the changes in 10400XA, what is the cost effect on a building? And if you look at the map, obviously there shouldn't be any change. In fact, I think it's probably going to be much simpler. It's very sort of clear where things are. The sub-occupancies believe that some of the bigger buildings might actually save energy, won't be, but the smaller buildings will sort of be a bit more restrictive, but it still won't affect the bank. So the numbers that we've used are model numbers, but not on some sort of weird design. It's on this 1000 design. The window requirements are any cost increase. The move to cavity walling, obviously inland, there's going to be a bit of cost increase to the R value goes up to 0.6, it was 0.35. And I think the biggest challenge we face, especially inland, is training people to build cavity walls. I don't know that we have the capacity yet. So it's also hence discussions with the Table Association also saying we need to get everybody to a space. Obviously, installation of exposed flooring, especially big buildings, will add to the cost. Spaces will add to the cost. The hot water, by timing the need for energy efficient solar water heating, that sounds weird, but energy efficient supply of non-electric resistant water, there's only going to be an increase when people are trying to run the system. So there will be an increase if people were doing the right thing to start it. The lighting's not going to change, and then the shading will change the costs. Okay, so I haven't been able to, I can't give a definitive brand this week as a number, but that's in its mind, sort of goes instant count. Okay, I'm going to Green Building Council. Are there any questions on temporary exam and new temporary exam?
Our local building authority doesn't recognise gas heating. So they can't deal with it, and they say they can't consider it as an alternative source. But I think it's been proven that gas heating is more efficient than,
it is.
Than using electricity.
Yeah, it is. Just that you know, with my other hat on, when the temporary exam is the new one is published, one of the programs is to roll out training to the building control officers and inspectors and plans examiners. So it's one of the things, because there's a lot of confusion about what is because it says non-electric resistant heating. And the idea was you can go to gas, because basically you're getting it directly. And the big thing about gas is you're not storing hot water that you don't use all the time. So it is definitely allowed. And so what we've done in the new one, we've actually listed these things, and LPG is listed. So it will be it's not going to be intuitive. It's going to be, and because what we're trying to do as well, just so you know, as people have implemented temporary XA, we have had a lot of comments back, and we've tried to put them into the new one. So even though it's not a sort of, as we would say, a public comment, but we've had comments come into the SABs. I don't work for the SABs, by the way. But they just think I do. And but as we've had comments come in, we've noted them, and we've tried to address all those things in the new 1000. So like things like that, we've listed it so that there cannot be confusion.
Just wanted to share with you, I had a discussion with Prof. From the RCS recently. They have instructed PE to allow gas diesels, and PE just ignored it.
Yeah.
So there is, I've spoken 2 weeks ago then. So they're all going to see what's going on and try and get this on board. Because
we struggle tremendously.
Yeah. I mean, if it'll help, I don't know. I've got no authority, so I can always tell you that you can always draft your email saying in the new one it's clear that it's. But as I said, because of these hassles, we've actually tried to. But again, the problem we sit with is it's like we always have to say this and this and this, but not limited to. Again, the idea is not to restrict innovation. We're not saying these are the only things that work. It's to try and get people to also innovate ways to get to energy efficiency, to get to efficient hot water. But one of the things is just to try to take this sort of interpretation out of some of it.
Yes, this target energy saving, very 20 years or whatever, who wants to oversee this? Is there going to be national organisation?
Well, look, it started a bit with factories have to do greenhouse gas reporting, and it's with so what they're doing is they're looking at high energy users first, or higher energy users, but it will come through slowly, and then eventually the idea is to get to buildings. They also have to declare the electricity and carbon. Because even with the energy performance certificates, they're starting with the government buildings being mandatory, but they are looking at down the line making the energy performance certificates mandatory for all buildings. But it will be first commercial buildings, I mean residential will be way down the track. But there's sort of all these things that are going to be in process, so it will come.
And okay, so reporting, but penalties in terms of non-compliance, is this part of the whole story?
Yeah, it will be part of again, you'll pay if you know sort of carbon tax and things like that. So it'll be on a different format to the high energy users, but that's the thing. But again, they want to set up they want to try and use a more incentive thing. So I don't know if you know, there's a tax incentive called tax 12L, do you know of it? So if it works well with plants, but if you retrofit a building into energy efficiency, you can claim, okay, the actual number is 95 cents per kilowatt hour that's saved in that year, but you have to have a third party measurement and verification people involved to audit and say, yes, that's your saving. So effectively, they say you'll still get around sort of 70 something cents per kilowatt hour. So when we're speaking to the Treasury and say, well, for buildings or whatever, how can we do it to try and put some incentives into people retrofitting buildings and things like that. So again, these things really do take time, but it is the conversations that are being had at the moment. Okay.
Lisa?
Yes.
I think from our point of view, in terms of walling, I think this is about a heads up, the new XA coming in the end of the year. The next one, in 5 years' time, will probably have cavity walling with insulation. There's a very good chance. In terms of heads up, that's what we need to prepare for. And that's going to be another challenge, as is cavity walling in the inland. It's going to be all cavity walling with insulation. And that would be then in 2022.
Yeah. So just to that graph I showed you, the idea is that every 5 years we have to make 1000 XA stricter. The reason of the delay this time was because the map changed, and the CSR took 2 years to do the map. So we went to 2 years behind. But yeah, so the idea is every 5 years it's going to be stricter. And that's how most countries do it. I mean, we're not unique.
Lisa, maybe just one last quick one before like the glazing, I think is interesting for us. You know, we design a lot of houses on the coast here and big expansive glass, and we're always having to go to a rational design, and invariably it gets approved in that process. So the new XA in terms of glazing specs and assessing performance of the entire envelope, how has that changed? Is glazing spec now not a consideration anymore?
No.
Are you looking at it more holistically?
It is still a consideration. Up to sort of deemed to satisfy level and put in certain levels of at what level must the hot type of glass be in. Let's say you don't have to do calculation table. But unfortunately, if you go above a certain percentage, you're going to have to still do a rational design.
Right.
It's just we can't.
So is the threshold move? Is it higher or lower?
It's higher.
It's higher.
The percentage per network area is higher.
Right. So,
but it's one of the areas that's still being discussed. So I can't tell you what the number is yet.
because that was a very blunt instrument to, and so if, you spend 20,000 Rand on a rational engineer, he designs it, he proves that the building is performing well because it's got all these other things. Yeah. And so the glazing thing just made the glazing supplies wealthy, and I don't think really made a difference to.
And I think the other thing is because people were wary of it, they probably overspec it sometimes. In some areas I've seen that overspec. But we're putting also our orientation with different percentage glasses. But what we've also done for the coastal areas, or the hotter areas, instead of orientation, we're putting in a map for prevailing winds. Because if you look, especially up on the town coast, orientation is not as big of an energy efficiency issue as putting it where you can get a breeze through your house. And that's, so we've sort of got a wind map, and we're saying, well, in those areas, rather go in the direction of prevailing winds. And I think it might actually, for PE, I think they was in that sort of.
That is excellent. Cross ventilation is our friend.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
we're hearing instances of, we've done 1 or 2 houses in Pretoria where the code says you must go to double glazing, but it is so darn hot in winter time that some people are air conditioning their homes because it's bizarre. So it seems like this new regulation will refine it.
We've tried. That's why I would really encourage anybody that when it comes out for public comments, please have a look. And again, you guys deal with it. I sort of deal with it almost on a theoretical basis, but listen to comments and see. Because in my experience, my answer was that you should never have to put double glazing in, unless you've done something weird to the facade. Like you've got way too much glass, or it's pointing in the wrong direction or something. But it's double glazing. I think should really be the last thing to go to.
Yeah, conductance is often the problem.
Yeah. So so please, when you go up public comment on, get up and have a look. It's one of the areas that we've tried to fix. And as I say, one of the ways is just to take away those tables and say, let's try and make it user-friendly, and let's try and make it some more suitable for us, for people that have a look. Okay, so Green Building Council. How many of you have done a green star rated building? How many of you know the Green Star ratings? So you're shy or something? I see like a finger behind your shoulder. That's why you're like, I'm going, yay, me, definitely no. Okay, so you're busy with it. Okay, so let's look at the Green Star rating. So currently, these are the rating tools. So these are for buildings. That interiors are, if you're a tenant inside a project, you can actually just rate your interior. And then there's an existing building rating. The other things you can look at is energy and water benchmarking. On buildings, you can look at socioeconomic credits, which people don't always use. And then a new one is, and it's just as come through, and I'll go into a bit of detail as well, net zero, net positive rating. So it's looking at carbon, water waste, and ecology. The other thing, looking at sustainable precincts, because I always use the example of Santon, and in a couple of blocks of Santon, it's probably the highest portion of green rated buildings in an area. Anybody who drives in Santon traffic knows that a block of green buildings do not make a green precinct. And that's also looking at this sort of holistic approach to precincts. Then the other thing, so what the proposal is, looking at a new rating tool, instead of having all these different types of building, and look at existing buildings, that's for any existing building, you can apply it. You say, well, let's just have the new buildings. So that's looking at saying, have existing buildings, new buildings, then interiors and these. So that's the idea is also to just take away some of the, that you don't have to have specific, tool-specific buildings, it just makes it easier to rate. These are the certifications that we've got. These numbers were supplied to me by the Green Building Council. The 2018 number, is a projected number. It's not quite to date. But as you can see, there's been a huge growth in rated and certified green buildings from 2009 when the first one was done. So basically, it's basically somewhat doubled every year, quite good. So it's quite well. If we look at the net zero and net positive standards, well, green building standard, with that, again, it's for all of those new buildings, refurbishments, existing buildings, operations, for anything. And it basically it says take, and then you will only really for buildings that are already green rated, and you sort of add on your net zero. So if you want to aim for net zero water, net zero energy. I came across a building that was recently built in Cape Town, and they can't get an occupancy certificate. Do you know why? Yes, what's the biggest problem? Well, I shouldn't say Cape Town, but Eastern Cape has it as well. The biggest problem in this area, water. It's got a sprinkler system that needs 8 million litres of water. And they won't fill it. So there's no fire safety, so they won't give it a certificate. So it's standing there waiting for water, the rain. So it's quite hectic. So that's one of the things that people say about climate change. Not being here, it's here. And it's the things we're going to have to consider for buildings in the future, is how to future-proof your buildings. So they didn't think it was concerning in sort of design and then even in building it, but now it's like stopped. And for fire safety reasons, nobody can go and take on. It's crazy. I mean, it's right, but it's a crazy situation. So, the other thing that we have this conversation is what's net zero mean? We've got this like, to be net zero carbon buildings by 2030. But carbon can be measured by so many things. So when you look at carbon or water, whatever, it's whether it's the base building, when there's people in it. So the embodied carbon is the carbon in building materials, so how much carbon is used to manufacture the building materials. If you have to renovate, when you have to deconstruct. So when we look at the net zero net positive, it's only those two up to that level. Doesn't go to embodied carbon, doesn't look at renovation or demolition of carbon. So just to make it clear and make it simple, otherwise it really gets complex. Okay. Then the other thing with Green Building Council is it's got an energy modeling protocol. It's very nice because you basically take your building, twist it, change it in any direction. Because again, when you look at green buildings, as you know, they're not just about energy. Energy is 25% weighting, but it's about water, it's about waste, it's about emissions, it's about daylighting, it's about acoustic comfort, it's about landscaping. It takes the whole, everything holistically into account. So when you look at it, you're looking at a lot of different things. So this is one of the things that has to be introduced. And so you can, so basically you can simulate for every hour of 365 days.
Excuse me, sorry.
That's fine, no problem. As long as I didn't upset you.
It's the last thing you said, whatever it was.
Yeah. Once they say late day. Was it the 365 Okay, so. And it compares, there's a reference building to the actual building. For those who love mining, it's there. So, one of the things about green buildings, because again the questions we've asked, is that how do I persuade my clients to go to green building? Because often it's the other way around, the clients say, yes, I want a green building, and they don't. But it definitely costs less to operate. The major challenge of that is the people that develop it, or own the building are not necessarily people that live in the building. And that's the sort of always this thing we argue with, but it does attract tenants if they pay less utilities. It's lower risk, it's high return on investment, differentiates your building demand. And obviously for those who want to, if you look at people that have done green buildings, they've often been their flagship buildings. It's been sort of a statement. It's not banks and the old mutuals and things like that. They have sort of made a statement about the growth point as well. So, if you look at it, people always ask, well, how much does a green building cost as opposed to a normal building? And on average, it's between 1 and 5% more. These numbers were done by the Building Council, the Association of QSs, and the University of Victoria. So this study was done by those review bodies. So basically, when people think that green buildings cost a lot more, on average, the maximum they cost on average is 5%. It's a study that's been done. There is information available on the Green Building Council website. That's just broken up into sort of square meters and where the green cost comes in. Then there was an index on return for green buildings, and this was based on South African buildings. It was done with real buildings, and these are the numbers that came out. That your return on investment for green buildings is much, it's almost half of a normal building. So, what else is happening in our space? As I said to you, XP is coming up. efficiencies coming up. And the other thing we look at energy, a standard for energy performance statistics for residential. So that's been used, so we can look at that as well. The idea behind the energy performance statistics, we asked about like sort of sticks, you know, or you know, how what penalty is going to be. They're probably going to be more incentives. But it could be, we've always said how, you know, when you sell your house, you always have an electricity, you know, plants. Yeah, thank you. Similarly, you're saying, oh, could we not have something like an energy compliance? And again, if you're not energy efficient, you're not going to get penalized for it. But again, it's trying to make it more of a marketing tool that it makes sense for people to retrofit their house into energy efficient. Because again, it's about a choice that you make. The other thing, as I said, is that it's the government's looking at mandating the energy performance certificates, probably just for commercial buildings in the private sector. That's sort of way a bit further down the line. We're looking at water saving initiatives throughout the cities, and obviously where the cities have a need, that's going faster than where, you know, you think that it's fine, it rains all the time. But we've also in Gauteng, we're saying, you know, our seasons are drought. The other thing, I don't know if you've heard of C40 cities. Throughout the world, there's 40 cities that have signed a commitment to low carbon future. And Tshwane, Joburg, Ekurhuleni, and Cape Town are 4 of the South cities that are signed up for C40. So they've sort of committed to have a low carbon to zero carbon future. Obviously, the carbon tax coming up, the greenhouse gas reporting, and spoke about the tax incentive for 12 now. So those are some of the initiatives that are around. So, looking at all these, how can these be leveraged to persuade the market, and how can we get rid of greenwash? You all know what greenwash is, hey? It's another word for when somebody tells you how good their product is, but it's bullshit. So it's a technical term for BS. So it's just really when somebody says to you certain things about the product, I'll go through some details, you have to understand what makes a product green. It's not about, you know, the things that people claim. So just go into it. So just look at the market. If you look at, I said, sugar and half if you're increasing, it's basically, I think the big challenge we have in this field, and I think especially for architects, is that how long do your buildings last? I mean, you're building something today that's going to be around 30 years from now, 50 years from now. And so say, well, how do we future-proof the buildings that we're building so that they don't become this sort of environmental drain on sort of scarce resources, especially water, well, and landfill actually. And it's saying, well, how the knock-on effect is that if you do these buildings, they have a payback in it. It's not that it's just saying pay more. It's saying, well, the upfront cost, the capital cost may be a bit more, but the running cost of this building for the next 30 years, the next 50 years is better for the tenants, it's better for everybody. And that's the thing, is to look at you know, the life cycle of this building and what are its running costs. Does attract tenants, because again, think of it, 10 years ago, who read a food label? How many people read food labels today? And it's this whole awareness of what's happening around us, what we bring in our bodies, what we, I mean, this one as an example, but you know, what are we putting into our buildings to sort of future-proof this thing. And then the other thing is, the resource-efficient buildings have got smaller pitching problem. As I said, I mentioned the city in this building in Cape Town, because of the water, you know. And at one time, I know, you know, when Eskom was running out of energy, they stopped development in some areas because they couldn't supply energy to those areas. So it has a knock-on effect. You know, if we can make more resource-efficient buildings, these kind of things don't become as big headaches as they have been in the past and are presently, especially with delivery of services. And then I spoke about greenwash. So if you look, people say to you, our products are 100% recycled or 100% recycled gold. And I've seen some recyclable claims, and I'm like, how would you recycle that? And they can't. You know what I mean? There's a lot of claims out there. And it's really to say, when people say this, please ask for proof. You know, they say my products are 100% recyclable. So, well, where does it go to? Where you recycle it into? Because some of these claims are very, very suspect. But it's also about how much water was used to produce the product. Did you pollute anything along the way of making this product? And that's when we come up with LCAs, life cycle analysis, and EPDs, which is your environmental product declarations. And it's really what the clever guys have done is they've looked at their life cycle analysis. So it takes everything into account when you manufacture your product. It shows you everything, how much carbon is emitted, how much water do you use, do you change the rivers around you, do you pollute, it's nitrates, sulfates, it's a whole lot of things that you put into it. So we want to get to an area where space where people have LCAs, it's standardized, the ISO standard, International Standard Organization. Again, so that when professionals look at these products, you can compare like with like. Otherwise, you are greenwashed. Once it beats. The other thing is there's a big push on manufacturers, installers, and subcontractors to guarantee performance. I think that's also been lacking quite a bit in our industry. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is how many of you designed for if one of your clients, 10 years down the line, wants to put PV panels on their roof, are buildings designed for that? They wouldn't be, because again, you're probably not going to overspec. But then, again, it's maybe something to think of, is that if a building that I designed today, 10 years down the line, somebody wants to put solar panels on their roof, how would I do this? How would I design this? How would I strengthen the whole thing? Again, I don't know, that's why I'm giving it to you guys to look at it. It's because people are changing, they want to do this retrofit. But I know a lot of buildings you can't put PV panels on because it's too heavy. You have to make them, you know, they want space. Rainwater harvesting. Where do you put rainwater tanks? The bulk of them underground, you know. But then you have to worry about how much dust, and, you know, some people actually put it under the, so where the road is or the paving is, and then with the rainwater harvesting. It's great if you want to collect all the car's oil and, you know, into your water, it's fantastic. Then your cleaning process has to be much better. So again, saying, if my client wants to make the building in the future more resource efficient, what do I do? How do I do this? So just a food for thought. But again, it's an opportunity. And when I say skills and enterprise development, it's not just about unemployed people, it's also about who's in your offices, who you're upskilling, looking at the new and the latest technology. I think there's so much opportunity for people just to grow within the space. I'm sorry, I'm not really lecturing. Oh no, I figured something else. I was lecturing him, now it's gone. Okay, any questions, guys?
So how far is the national energy regulator from? Because you haven't really talked much solar today, but you know, why should solar not be part of SANS? Why is it just heating the water?
Yeah, no, what we've done with the building, because anything on the national building regulation side it just talks about the design of the building. So the way we approach it is we don't care where the energy is generated from. Make sure that the building itself is energy efficient. Then from that, then the next step is, but it won't fit with the building regulation, there'll be another regulation talking about energy generation. But to get to zero carbon buildings, we won't be able to do that without renewable energy. You can't you can't get a building that uses no energy. You have to substitute it with renewable energy. But I guess people always think, well, let's just put PV panels on. First, make the building energy efficient. Energy efficiency from your energy from the sun is free, but PV panels and batteries are not. So when you design for a PV system, the building must still be energy efficient. So in this Intent 400XA, we only cover that design. And then outside of that, then when we move to the zero carbon requirements, we'll have to look at generation. But a lot of the C40 cities, they're looking more at also at precinct renewable generation. So sort of doing when you plan townships, say the township, you say, okay, of this, 50% will be electricity, 50% will be renewable. So that's also happening at city level. But at the moment here for the design, we're just talking about energy efficient design. Your generation can be
but they're so hand in hand. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if we put a PV panel like you did a solar water heater on every single roof, every single building in this country, and you can subsidize it through the same programs, massive reduction in energy consumption. Of course, that's not great for ASIC, but and there lies the tension in the thing.
Look, it's not conspiracy, it really is the problem. Because the big hassle, I mean, in Germany, if you look at it, Germany, it's way less sun than we do. They've got a system where you've got PV panels on your roof. If you generate more electricity than you use, you feed back into the grid. Now, our system hasn't been, we don't have that grid capacity. Some places they do.
PE,
yeah, PE with the wind power. Yeah, that's that renewable side. And PE isn't actually very good with renewable energy wind. It's one of the areas in the country that's like quite far ahead of the game. But it's about changing that sort of system, and it is getting this dependence of ESCOM. So it is a bit political, but it's not that it's off the table. And that's why these programs have now been signed. Independent generators and things like that. So it's happening.
But even the residential and PE can feed back now.
No, I'm saying it's like it here, but through the rest of the country it's more problematic. We're moving to smart grids, and that's the thing.
So our government manages to still have social housing excluded from this astounding, but anyway.
Look, it's government who say doesn't want to. And we've actually, if you look at the one side, we mention it here, we speak about the public category A buildings. We have put it into the 10,500 standard. It's really just this sort of Department of Human Settlements and their budget that's crazy. But we work with them all the time and pushing it, because the thing is, we can't leave them behind. Even with a zero carbon, we can't just say that everything will be zero carbon except for these houses. It just doesn't make sense. So
that's why there's resistance in the private sector, because of this very thing. People are saying that, where it's inconvenient for government to pay a surcharge for performance buildings, they exclude themselves. And where the private sector has to pick up the tab, well, then it's fine, because now we're regulated and we enforce it. So, yeah,
but as I said, it's changing. It just took them 2 years to change. It's just a bit more effort. But it's getting. If it was easy, then I wouldn't have a job.
Are there any more questions for Lisa?
Yep.
I'll ask you.
Okay.
Sorry, so XA's now, we've been designing XA buildings for how many? 5 years?
It's been between
5, because it took us a while to get used to it. So, so in 5 years now, all new buildings obviously are designed according to this. Is there anything other than an academic exercise, some empirical, actual data that shows that this thing is actually making a difference in terms of energy use?
It has, but more sort of from the people inside, and there's been different pockets of research done showing that it has made a difference in the energy thing. The problem we had is when the 10.4 came in, building was actually at quite high level, and over the last years, the new builds have actually gone down. The number of new builds have actually gone down. So it's difficult to see. It's like a little blip on the whole thing. So we've had to do it piece by piece, showing business as usual versus this, but it definitely has achieved that saving. Again, new builds are 1% of the market.
But how is that even measured? So I think that's what I'm asking. It seems like, because all the data I've seen is also academic, it's all modeled, it's all theoretical. And so you're making a whole round of new changes to this XA regulation without, well, apparently, from what we can see, without sort of the empirical data. So I'd like to see that empirical data. Where can we, who's doing the tests? Surely the regulator, or there's some organizations doing those?
The biggest amount of data I've seen is from the Green Building Council. When they did the, and it's non-green buildings and green buildings, so it's not just about green buildings. And that's where the sort of index was based. So there is data out there. But when we started, and to be honest with you, we spoke about 15% saving on buildings. We phoned developers, we phoned building owners, we said, what is your energy use? Nobody could tell us. Or I didn't know they didn't want to tell us for some reason.
No, they don't know. This is my point.
That's the problem. But again, we have measured over the years that it has decreased. But on different, as I said, it's different pockets of research. Probably the best data we can get for commercial buildings would be this. That's where, even to do the energy and water benchmarking, to see what was the real numbers of buildings, and they were pre-10.1 XA and post-10.1 XA and green buildings as well.
I would just think that data formed the basis for the next round of changes.
It has. That's where the kilowatt hours of the screening panel has come from. Again, it's model versus actual use, because we looked at it and it was given the wrong numbers, and that came from the numbers.
So that graph, that's powerful information for us to say green rated buildings have got a better return on investment than non-rated buildings.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff we should be showing to our commercial clients. So, and now you're saying it's only another 5% surcharge. Our QS is in the Eastern Cape telling us it's 10 to 15%. They might be wrong. But that's where we're getting the pushback. And I think if we can show commercial clients a better ROI, well then that's what the numbers tell us.
Yeah.
No dispute to that.
Yeah, and as I said, it was done independently and third parties.
Audited.
Yes,
Yeah, question to you.
Just to comment on the energy efficiency certificates. I know that you've left out or excluded residential. Was that for a reason? I saw it in the UK, it was quite interesting. They started saying when you sell a house, you need a certificate.
That's what I'm saying. When I showed you the new things that are coming through, the energy performance certificate standard for residential is a new work item. So we're going to stop that standard soon. And the idea is to have it as when you sell your house, you know what the energy use is.
So I can just make a comment on it. It was in the total disaster. And it stopped the market. So it literally stopped the housing market. And they pulled the flag. So it spawned a whole new industry, people that are trained to be energy assessors and blah, 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 and people that watch it. And then they pulled it. So you effectively had a kit when you sold your house. It was your gas, it was your electric. And that was one of the things, and people were just going, well, wait a minute, it's going to cost me whatever. In those days, it's £20,000 or something now to sell my house, and people were back and literally stopped the market. So I wondered if you had that feedback that you were looking at.
And the other thing is that one time we were called green bonds, and it was a system in the UK. But the hassle is that the green bond belonged to the property, and the property can't own money. You know what I mean? A person has to, but the thing is, it was like that bond stayed, so if you sold it, it sort of stayed there. We were talking about putting it on. So, obviously look at all these lessons, because we don't want to, we want to encourage people to be energy efficient.
Yeah, I have a look at that, because they went through it, and from what I can tell, the benefit is certainly the residential market.
But what they did in Australia is they rated, it was nothing to do with anything to do with Green Star, but they rated the houses from 0 to 5-star houses. And then there was a tax incentive to get your house to a 3-star rating, 3-star level, not rating. And that's sort of more what we're looking at, is that there must be some kind of incentive to get there, but then there must be a market awareness of what an energy efficient houses.
That's difficult because I mean there's rumors going about taxing people who are putting panels on their roofs. Now they're being responsible and investing, but now they must pay.
It's not
I
true.
hope it's not, because that's the real that's turning.
Yeah. No, it's not true.
Okay, any other questions?
Just on the people in marketing side, sick building syndrome.
Yes.
I think it's one of the biggest things that we always miss because it's got no monetary value when you look at a building. We probably have about a 25% increase in staff attendance at work if the building is green.
Yeah.
Because of the environmental quality. And if you take 25% of your outlay and increase your production by 25% in a year, it's quite a substantial benefit that you're attending to. But the whole problem is the developer is not the tenant.
Yeah.
The end of the building.
And I must admit, soft stuff, and I wasn't sure how tough it is. But all those, there's a lot of information on people in council week with your sick building syndrome, and there's actually measured again. They measure how much leave people take, so the average and sick leave, the average, and then how much sick leave people have been able to take. We have to exclude the ones who think sick leave is real leave. Yeah, you have to take it. Otherwise, lose it. There was another one.
So any more questions? I'm intrigued by the future codes in terms of demolitions. I'm mortified by the amount of builders rubble that gets carted away on the new build construction site. I know it's great for the brick manufacturers, but the wastage of cut bricks that have not been used and discarded wherever it is. So, you need to start thinking about half bricks, or so that if a guy breaks his brick, and it hasn't worked out, he just squeezes it, and then he takes another one and tries again and tries again and again.
But somebody else told you this.
So maybe to conclude, and then we can always chat casually with Lisa afterwards if you wanted to. Thank you again to Algoa, our Brick, or Algoa FM, Algoa Brick, our platform sponsor today. And it's good to have, always good to have Colin and Hannah here, Hendrik, our soon to be Titanium sponsor. And Lisa, thank you for the heads up on where XA is going. For those of us who have buildings in the pipeline that we are working on for next year, we need to start to think about maybe there's a different design code coming, there's a different cost implication, might be saving what you're telling us about glazing, but we need to start to position ourselves and prepare ourselves. And I think that's the importance of these events with our members, is that what SIA EC does, it's informing, we're giving our members tools to go out there and practice and do a great job for our clients and be efficient and stay in business. So.
Well, awesome. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.